Welcome to the first presidential debate between the Democratic nominee, President Barack Obama, and the Republican nominee, Governor Mitt Romney. Our format will be a mix of questions. Some will be from the audience, some were emailed in, and I'll ask some of my own. We'll begin with President Obama. Let's get right to the issues. Mr. President, what's your biggest criticism of Governor Romney?
Wow. I don't even know where to start.
Actually, I have to agree with him. His presidency proves that he doesn't have a clue where to start.
Wait a minute. I didn't really mean that.
What a coincidence. That's the same thing he said about his campaign promises after he was elected.
All right, gentlemen, we need to get back on track here. Let's take a question from our audience. Go ahead, sir.
I'm John from Cape Coral, Florida. Mr. President, since you took office I've lost my job, used up my savings, and my home is in foreclosure. Why should I vote for you?
That's a great question, John. The answer is that all of your problems are Bush's fault. They're all the result of his failed policies.
As a follow-up, under President Bush I had a job. I even had overtime. I was saving money for retirement, and I was up to date on my bills. How could it be his fault?
It's very complicated, John. In order to understand it you'd need to be as smart as I am. Next question, please.
Actually, Mr. President, it's Governor Romney's turn. Do we have another audience question?
Hello, Governor Romney. I'm Carol from Nashua, New Hampshire. Could you tell me why you think you're qualified to be president?
Unlike my opponent, I ran a state. I ran a company that created over 100,000 jobs. I saved the Olympics from bankruptcy, and they actually made a profit.
So you admit it. They made a profit. Shame on you, Governor.
Mr. President, are you saying that you're opposed to people and companies making a profit?
I have no problem with people keeping whatever they have left after taxes, assessments, surcharges, penalties, fines, mandatory contributions, employee benefits and compliance costs.
In other words, they can keep anything they have left, if they have anything left, after the government has penalized them for working hard and being successful.
Exactly. And remember, if somebody has a successful business, they didn't build it. Somebody else did. That brings me to a question that was emailed in. This is for President Obama from Kevin in Plano, Texas. He writes, I'm very concerned about the effect of your tax policy. If you want to repeal the Bush tax cuts, increase the tax on my investments to 45%, and institute a 45% estate tax, what's left?
There's really no need to be concerned about that, Kevin. By the time you get hit with the final tax, you'll already be dead.
Governor Romney, an email question for you from Bonnie, in Conway, Massachusetts. What would you do differently from President Obama?
Everything.
Actually, Governor, that was a serious question.
Actually, that was a serious answer. Everything.
At this point we're going to let each candidate ask a question to the other. We flipped a coin before the debate and the winner was President Obama. Go ahead, Mr. President.
My question is, how can you be against my healthcare plan if it was modeled after Omnicare in Massachusetts?
States can make their own decisions, and Massachusetts decided that it was right for them. But we didn't try to force our plan on every state, like Obamacare does.
Your turn, Governor. What's your question for President Obama?
How do you defend your record? Not one budget passed since you took office. Unemployment over 8%. The deficit is up by 50%. And we have to borrow 40 cents of every dollar we spend. You made bad loans to green companies and created a healthcare plan that's going to be in the red as soon as it's fully implemented, which will only make things worse financially.
Well, I mean actually there's actually a really good reason for that, I think, actually. It's because, am I allowed to claim executive privilege?
No, Mr. President. This isn't a congressional investigation, it's just a debate.
National security?
Sorry.
Then I'd like to use one of my lifelines. Can I phone a friend? How about Jay Carney? My press secretary. He'd either have a great non-answer or a really good sidestep.
Sorry, Mr. President, we don't have lifelines here. This is a debate, not a game show. Do you have a response to the question?
Isn't it time for a commercial?
No, Mr. President. This debate is commercial-free. Could you please just answer Governor Romney's question?
It was all Bush's fault. The bad economy, the borrowing, the deficit, the unemployment. Even my healthcare plan is the result of his failed policies.
Could you please elaborate on that, Mr. President? How could problems with your healthcare plan be President Bush's fault? He didn't try to pass a healthcare plan.
Well, yeah. That was one more of his failed policies. If he had, I wouldn't have had to pass one at all.
Which means that instead of accomplishing only one thing in 4 years, you'd have accomplished absolutely nothing.
Right, oops. It's no laughing matter. Every problem that my administration has had to deal with was Bush's fault. And the reason that things are still so bad is because of his failed policies.
Hey Obama. You've been singing that song for the last 4 years and I haven't said a word, but my patience has just about run out. So let me explain this in a way that even you can understand. Say one more word about me or my policies, and you'll find yourself on the floor looking up, and wondering how you got there. I swear I'll knock you flatter than an oil spill on the Texas prairie. They'll have to pick you up with a blotter. And that's if they can even find what's left of you. Now did that message make it into your ultra-liberal Harvard-educated big government-loving far-left-leaning pea-sized brain? Or do I have to pound it in with my fist? Okay then. And John from Florida, put your hand up. I'll be down to talk to you about how we can help you find work. And I'll help you pay your mortgage until you find a job.
Do you have any other comments about President Bush's policies, Mr. President? Then we'll end this debate with the same question for both of you. What's your prediction about how the election will come out? Governor Romney, let's hear from you first.
For the good of America and the free enterprise system, I hope that I win, but that's up to the voters. I'm just campaigning hard and trying to earn their trust and their votes.
And President Obama, the final thought is yours. What's your prediction?
I have every confidence that I'll win big. My polls tell me that I'm a huge favorite, and that the voters will reward all my hard work with 4 more years in office. In fact, I'd say that my chances of losing are about the same as the chances of bin Laden's ghost coming back to haunt me.
Well, Governor, if that was any indication, you're most likely going to be the next President of the United States. Congratulations.